The final step of creating your hip hop track is going to be making what we call the arrangement of the song. So it's not just the same thing over and over again. We're going to have parts drop in and out to create a bit of interest. You may have already recorded your lyrics before you do this bit, or maybe you haven't done that yet and you're going to do that afterwards. That's fine. So building up the arrangements means thinking about when the parts come in and out. I might choose to start my track, for example, with just the piano chords. Let's take those drums and drag them back. And in fact, let's drag everything back. So I'm going to start my song with just... Okay. Now, that was ready and you heard my drums start to come in, but they came in a bit wonky. They didn't quite come in on time. What you need to make sure when you're doing your arrangement is that you always use the grid lines on the arrangement window, which is this window here, to make sure that all your parts line up. And when new things start and stop, they should always start and stop on a bar line. Just then, my drums are coming in here, which is just after the number 3. And you'll see that they don't sound quite right when they come in. They'll sound a bit out of time. They sounded like they came in a bit late. But if I make it so it happens exactly on 3 and it finishes exactly on 4, then I know my timing's going to be good. Let's try making my bass come in exactly on 5, and then my riff part I'm going to have coming in, do you know what, I'm going to have it on 9 there just to give a bit of space, but I've done it exactly on the bar line. I'm not going to do it just before or just after, and when you get close it'll kind of snap onto it. So let's have a listen now to this new arrangement, all the same loops, but hopefully making it a bit more interesting by having them coming in one at a time. Here we go. Okay, so they're kind of coming in one at a time. Sounds good. And your lyrics over the top will hopefully kind of reflect that change. Let's now decide what's going to happen next, because now all the parts are in. What are we going to do? Well, one good thing to do would be to have something stop and then start again. So why don't I make that after a little while, and again, I'm going to do this exactly on the grid lines, and I'm going to be using patterns of looking at when my loop finishes. This is a 4-bar loop, I can see, because it's got a white line at the start there, and then after 4 bars, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's another white line showing that it's going to repeat. So I'm going to stop it just there. I'm not going to stop it just before or just after, right there on the white line and on the bar number for 17. So now I'm going to have something drop out. Let's see what that sounds like. Having things stop like that can make the arrangement quite interesting, because it means that it's not just doing the same thing over and over again. But maybe I want to bring that back. Maybe I want to put those chords in again after they've finished. Well, I can do that by copying and pasting. Let's take this part, right click or control click on the mouse, or you can go to the edit menu, in fact. Oh no, you can't, you have to right click. So on the mouse you may have a right click button. If you don't, on a Mac you can hold down the control button and that brings up this menu when you click, and choose copy. Okay, so we're going to copy, then we're going to decide where we paste it by moving the playhead. And again, I'm going to do exactly on this number here. I know that it's a 4-bar loop, so I'm going to do it after 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Then I'm going to paste by right click and choosing paste. It's quite long because it had lots of repetitions, but now you can see it comes back in again. And so I've got this gap where it wasn't there. Now I can do the same thing with other parts as well. Maybe I can do the same thing with my drums, copy and paste them so we have a section without them as well. And by doing this, by kind of chopping up your beat so that things start and stop, it makes the arrangement much more interesting, so you don't get things just continuing in a repetitive way over and over again. These are the zoom controls that I was just clicking up here. The magnifying glass, you can show you zooming in or out, and so you can see that my general overview of my piece starts to look a little bit more interesting as I have things dropping in and out. Let's just have a little listen to what this sounds like then in this new section. Here we go. go. So just carefully moving those things around so that they drop in and out, but always making sure they start and end on those bar lines can make your piece sound much more interesting. Now, as an extra level, some of the things you could look at doing is, as you've gone along, you may have made some variations, like a different chord sequence, a different bass line, a different riff, or even a different drum beat. This is where you might have a new section of your song where you have new sounds coming in or new ideas coming in that you haven't had before. You could even try adding some more instruments on top that maybe come in different parts of the sound, just like we did before the riff. You could try adding a new track, choosing an instrument, and then choosing any of the instruments from the panel here, coming up with a short sound on top, a short melodic idea, a short something that could happen using a sound that you like that could appear later in the song, and dropping it in. And there's no limit to how much you do that, just obviously be aware of making your song sound too cluttered. So your final step to finishing your song then is arranging your tracks so parts drop in and out. Think about the beginning, think about the end, think about how it lines up with your lyrics, and then finally experiment with adding in new parts.